Most high performers don't fail, they plateau. Not because they stop improving, because eventually, performance alone stops changing trajectory, and most people realize that far too late. That's the part high-performing professionals rarely expect. At first, performance compounds aggressively. The better you become, the more movement you create. More opportunities, more trust, more visibility, more acceleration, which creates the belief that continuous improvement automatically creates continuous expansion. But eventually, that relationship changes. Additional performance creates smaller trajectory shifts. The work still matters, the effort still exists, but long-term movement starts slowing down underneath. And that transition is extremely difficult to detect, because high-performing careers still feel active. Projects continue, meetings continue, deadlines continue, the income still grows, which means activity still exists, but expansion quietly disappears underneath. Many professionals slowly confuse productivity with scalability, usefulness with leverage, even though those are completely different dynamics. Because performance and leverage are not the same thing. Performance improves execution, leverage changes positioning, performance increases operational value, leverage changes future trajectory. And eventually, that asymmetry becomes enormous, because most organizations reward reliable execution aggressively. High performers become trusted quickly. Trusted professionals receive more responsibility. More responsibility creates more organizational dependence. And over time, many careers become increasingly optimized for continuity instead of expansion. That transition is subtle. At first, more responsibility feels like growth. Later, it often becomes operational gravity. The system starts rewarding reliability, predictability, execution consistency. And once that dependence forms, future movement becomes harder. Not because someone became less capable, because the organization now values stability more than trajectory volatility. That changes how careers compound long-term, because scalable careers and high-performing careers are not always the same thing. Some professionals become extremely valuable, highly respected, operationally essential, while simultaneously becoming less expandable. And most people never recognize when that transition happens, because externally, the career still looks successful, the title improves, the compensation grows, the trust increases, but trajectory quietly stops widening underneath. That's why many high performers eventually feel trapped inside careers they once considered successful, not financially, structurally. Because performance-heavy careers often create identity attachment to execution itself. People become known for reliability, for solving problems, for stabilizing systems, for carrying operational pressure. And over time, that identity becomes difficult to separate from career value. That transition changes behavior gradually. At first, people optimize for acceleration. Later, many optimize for execution relevance instead. Becoming useful starts feeling safer than becoming expandable. That shift is subtle, but structurally, it changes everything. Because organizations reward continuity aggressively. Reliable operators become embedded deeply. Embedded professionals become difficult to move. And eventually, many careers develop operational gravity. The system starts protecting continuity, not expansion. That difference reshapes trajectory over time. Because once someone becomes deeply integrated into operational infrastructure, future movement starts narrowing underneath. Experimentation becomes harder, switching becomes riskier, risk starts feeling emotionally expensive. And eventually, many professionals stop asking, where could this trajectory go? They start asking, how do I protect the value I already created here? That psychological shift is extremely difficult to reverse, because over time, high performance itself can become a preservation system. The career stays active, the performance stays high, the trajectory quietly narrows. Now, final verdict. High performers do not plateau because they stop working hard. They plateau because performance alone eventually stops creating leverage. And once a career becomes optimized for execution continuity, future expansion becomes increasingly difficult to recover. If you want the full system behind this, it's in the description.